Hi, I'm Madison and I'm part of the Disney group for this project. We're briefly going to talk about the Disney controversies that have been going around with live action film compared to cartoon films. We're going to start off by talking about 101 Dalmatians in 1961 and how that live remake went really well. And then we're going to start with the live remakes that didn't go so well, starting with Aladdin. Our first story that we're going to talk about today is 101 Dalmatians. As we all know, this fun-loving movie where 101 Dalmatians run rampant through a city chased by somebody named Cruella de Vil. This remake stayed consistent with the storyline of the cartoon, and they used real dogs in the film as well, which people loved. And that is why this movie has been so loved and it had minimal changes, along with Alice in Wonderland. The remake from the 1950 original story to the 2010 is also the most recognizable and the most loved. It had a positive change because Alice changed from a young girl in a dream to a young girl actually falling down a rabbit hole and having to slay a dragon, metaphorically in her life. But this was seen as a positive change for young women. And then the next one would be Cinderella. This storyline, as we all know, fairy godmother gave her her wish. Cinderella's original storyline was kept consistent. It even kept her dress, the bright blue dress that everyone wanted at some point. Now, during Cinderella, the only thing that was seen negative was the digitized waist change to Cinderella. And that would be the beginning of the live-action downfall. Although it had a positive light shown on it because people's childhood shows were coming to life and it was filled with more imagination and more detail. The magic started dying out when they made a live action about Aladdin. Many things were seen to be wrong with this movie. One of the main things that was wrong about this movie, from the public's opinion, was whitewashing. They felt that the characters didn't take on any of the characteristics or the culture that Aladdin is from, primarily in Saudi Arabia. Some people were also upset about the original role of Jasmine from the cartoon film to the live-action film. In both films, Jasmine is seen to be very independent, but she falls in love with Aladdin. Many people were discouraged that Jasmine got her own song. Because Jasmine got her own song, they felt that she was stepping more into independence and less away from love, like the original cartoon and almost every Disney princess has been portrayed as. Because of this, the fairy tale aspect felt like it was disappearing to the audience and they didn't get the imagination or the nice feeling of a loved one that they got in their childhood. The next big one was The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid was very controversial because of the race change with the main character being Ariel. In the original film, she is white and she's said to be from Denmark, or that story comes from Denmark. But in the remake, we have Halle Berry, who is African American, and people did not like that they made this change. They felt that it wasn't the original princess and they're watching a whole nother movie. On top of this, Little Mermaid also dived into the world of CGI with animals. Flounder didn't really look like a fish and scared multiple children, which did not make the parents very happy because Flounder was a very lovable character in the cartoon. This was also seen as the progressive agenda by Disney to put in people of color or people with disabilities that aren't always seen in films, and that is another reason why people were so mad at The Little Mermaid. And then we have Mulan. There are a lot of things wrong with the live remake of Mulan, circa the public's opinion. There was no Mushu that helped guide her through the war. There were no songs. It was not a happy film. There was no original villain. There was only a lady that turned into a lady after turning into a bird-like character. So people were very confused about that villain. And there was really no male interest in this film. So they changed the whole film from the cartoon to the live remake, and people were not very happy about this. The next movie that we're going to be covering is Peter Pan. Peter Pan has had multiple live remakes. The best one, in my opinion and the public's opinion, is Hook with Robin Williams. But recently, as of the 2023 remake for Peter Pan, there were many controversies circling this movie. Another big one was the race change made to Tinkerbell. In the cartoon, she is white, and then in the live action remake, she is African American. This was seen as a continued push for the progressive agenda that Disney was trying to do with these live action remakes. Another big controversy is with The Lost Boys. People felt that if The Lost Boys title was The Lost Boys, that they shouldn't have included a girl into this group. They also showed Neverland, and in the cartoon, it is this magical place filled with wonder, and you can do anything. There's no rules, there's no parents. But when they show Neverland in this remake, it is just a bunch of hills with grass on them, and it doesn't look entertaining. It looks boring. Another movie that sparked a lot of controversy as of late is Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler. Speaking of Rachel Zegler, there have been some things concerning her as an actress with this film, and then her in the film portraying Snow White. Again, another progressive push for adding people of color into Disney. Rachel Zegler is Latina. Now, people had an issue with this because of Snow White's name and the saying that her skin was as pure as snow, and Rachel Zegler is more tan. So people had an issue with this in the first place. As part of the progressive agenda, they also made the dwarves just a slight bit different in the live remake as compared to the cartoon. Starting off with, they are not all dwarfs. Now, going back to Rachel Zegler, she herself does not like the character Snow White. She says in an interview with Gail Goddard that this Snow White for the live remake, she's not going to be chasing after a prince anymore. She's not going to be at home making a pie. She's going to be independent and she's going to be strong, which is nothing is wrong with this statement. But the very essence of Snow White is pure, and she's a teenager in the movie, being only 14. People had an issue with this because she's changing the movie entirely and changing how the character is based. They felt that there was no need to change a teenager who fell in love, because that's a very real scenario, to someone being strong and independent, because that is not Snow White. They also, because of this, removed the love interest in this movie to make it more independent and focus on just Snow White. In summary, there have been good live-action remakes and there have been bad live-action remakes. The public favored the movies with little change and or no change to their liking, and this is a main portion of people just getting uncomfortable with change. These characters have been around since the late 1940s and or early 1950s. People did not want them to change. They wanted their original storyline, they wanted originally where they come from, and they wanted it to stay consistent. And because of this, the public also felt like Disney lost their fairy tale aspect to these movies. As mentioned before, Neverland just looked like a bunch of hills. There was no Mushu that was supposed to guide Mulan. She did it all on her own. There was no music. There were no favorable villains anymore in the movies either. People became upset with Disney constantly trying to reinforce a progressive agenda, because it wasn't going well in their favor, and the public also did not like this. These changes felt like they were hurting the public more than they were helping them as adults, with the feeling that they could still have a fairy tale and that they could still have imagination, but with factors as in CGI, with Flounder looking scary, it didn't quite feel like they had that fairy tale element anymore. However, as said to us by Princess Jasmine from Aladdin, sometimes we only see how people are different from us, but if you look hard enough, you can see how much we're all alike. Have a great day. And you're watching Disney Channel.
You're back.
We're back to talk about Disney. Mulan, trash. Cinderella, good. Mulan, trash. Little Mermaid, trash. Because of Flounder.
Statements of one, and this is what one person thought.
Okay. This is what one person thought about the controversy surrounding Disney. This is what another person thought surrounding the controversy of Disney. This is a clip from Cinderella.
Just do all the movies.
Okay. This is a clip from 101 Dalmatians. This is a clip. This clip is about Alice in Wonderland. This clip is showing Flounder. This clip is about Rachel Zegler. This clip is an interview with Rachel Zegler. Here is another interview. Any more?
I think that's good.
Disney.